Oh, am I glad my buddy Colin Fraser's back here at i3D Themes. Good afternoon, it is Brandon Devnich from i3D Themes with this week's Interactive, number 66, where we share what we're passionate about, what we've been working on in the i3D Themes Design and Code Labs. So yes, Tuesday, Colin returned from his wonderful vacation down to Florida and Disney World, and he had a fantastic time, but he said it was good to come home. And with that, I have a story that he relayed to me that I think is pretty poignant, and I wanted to share it with you. So it sort of goes a little bit like this. He booked his trip through a travel agent, and in doing so, he purchased vouchers for Disney World. What you don't realize, though, is that you don't actually get the tickets ahead of time. You actually have to go down to Disney World, turn in the voucher to get your tickets for everything that you need to do down there. And he had booked a tour, a very special tour, for 8 a.m. on the day after he arrived. And of course, he was arriving late, and then of course the flight itself was delayed as well. So he's getting in late. The flight is delayed, and somebody had mentioned, well, geez, book an Uber and get down to the ticket area, because it's like a mile or two away from where he was staying, or the gates, or something like that. It was a long way away. Well, Colin is not one to, really, like Uber's not a thing up here. So he installed the app, not knowing what Uber was all about. How did it work? I've never used Uber. I'm pretty sure that we don't have Uber in Vancouver. We might have Lyft in Toronto. In any case, it's certainly not something that's really hit Canada yet. But of course, we hear about it and how it's really quite the thing down in other markets. So he installs the app, and at this point, he has until midnight to get these tickets. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to take this tour with the family the next morning. And it's like 11:15. So he's punched into where do I need to go? I need to go to this particular place. And they said, oh, where's your location now? Okay, and then it takes about 18 minutes. He says, okay, go for it. And it says, finding closest Uber driver. Before he realizes, before he really even looks up, it's already accepted, and it shows him the picture of the car and the guy and the license plate or whatever of the car that's going to be picking him up. Before he even realizes it, before he can reply to the driver or send a message, the car is already there in front of him. He's like, how did that happen so quickly? And he was kind of dumbfounded. So he gets in, and they get there, and he literally gets there within like barely minutes to spare, gets his ticket, and then gets out as they're closing down this complex. I think it was a mall or something or other. And he gets it. But thanks to Uber. He's never experienced that before. But what Uber did for him, he said that was probably the neatest experience, apart from all the tours and everything else of Disney World and having a great time. They really maxed it. They put 2 vacations into one. They really squeezed every last minute out of that vacation. But he said it was really the coolest thing. It was convenience, extreme convenience, and it exceeded all of expectations. Blew his mind. I think this is a really key point when thinking about customer service and developing new products and new services, is that first of all, word of mouth is really, really important. But how do you get really strong word of mouth? And that is by having a product or service that exceeds expectations by miles. And that's really what our driving focus was when we went to develop the Pegasus Accelerator application, which is our automated Google PageSpeed WordPress plugin. And we actually launched that. The official launch was last Friday. And the interface is set up so that you install the plugin, you put in your API key, and you hit go, and that is it. There's nothing else. And it just does it all. And that was really when we decided, how are we going to make this work? Like, we have all the technology. We know how to do all of these magical things to make the web pages load faster. We've got all this, months and years of experience in figuring out how to make it all work on a manually do all this stuff. But if we were to automate it, how would it work really, really well for an end user? Well, the answer is just make it extremely convenient. Like all you do is just hit the go button, and then it would be like hitting the go button and you instantly transported somewhere. Well, in this case, you hit the go button, your website is instantly transported to a faster version of itself without asking any questions. This is one of the things when we were doing our market research, taking a look at the closest possible comparables for plugins out there, and the only thing we could look at was caching plugins. I guess that's the closest thing. We installed them and we're like, this is all kind of Greek to me, and I work with websites all the time. What are these questions all about? And why give me these options up front? And I don't know what I need to put in this area. Do I need to go through a bunch of support? Do I need to learn a bunch of stuff? And it just really wasn't a really good feeling when you go install these plugins. And some of these plugins are like really like big names in the WordPress world. And you're like, can you guys not spend a little bit more time in streamlining this and making this better for the end user experience? So when we designed Pegasus, that's really what we were looking at. It was not just providing something that did awesome things, but did it in such a way that it didn't require the end user to do anything, and it gave the end user feedback that showed them what was going on, how their website was before and how it is after, and just showing the improvement. And I think we really achieved that with Pegasus Accelerator. And as I said last week, Friday was the official launch. We exited out of what we called beta. Technically, I guess, in some sense, we're still in a beta of some sorts because, it's still early days. And we are going to be coming up against different installations where, we didn't envision web servers configured in a certain way. And there are literally thousands upon thousands of hosting environments out there, although most of them are all pretty standardized as far as how things run on the server. We're going to come across some, like I came across one today when I was onboarding, and the server actually wasn't configured properly in a standard way on the server. So we had to figure out how to, work around these situations so that, again, it's instant. It just does automatically. For the next site that is hosted on this type of server, we want to make sure that it's seamless. And so that's the entire idea of this application, to not only just make the website super stinking fast, but have it not be a chore to do. Install it, turn it on, it's done. So that's my little sort of story about Colin and Uber, and I think that is, and I've heard this before, where you're going to see products and services do well and excel is if the driving focus on the service or the product or whatever it is, and that if this is your website and you're doing a project and you're launching a new website and you're trying to get people to go through a flow of purchasing, convenience is king. You really have to be focusing on now. Convenience is king. Everybody is trying to squeeze every last second out of their day for productivity and just enjoying life. If you make things more difficult, no, you really should not. Just the idea to try to make things more involved, no, keep it simple. And if people want to dig into more features, provide a little cog where they can click for more detail if they really, really want to. But keep it simple on the front side of things, and make them feel as though everything is just there's nothing else they need to worry about. Hakuna Matata. So so that's the little story there. What's really going on in the design lab this week? Colin got back on Tuesday. He's really pounding through all the emails and the phone calls and the voicemails, that sort of thing, and he's actually made really fantastic progress with all of that. He's rejuvenated from Disney World, and he's already started research into a new WordPress framework. He wants to be getting his designs into WordPress, and unfortunately I've just been so wrapped up with the page speed optimization products that we've been developing for the last year that I haven't had a chance to really get in and convert our templates over to WordPress. So he's going to be looking at doing a framework that he can do all these conversions and get our designs into WordPress faster. Any time span would be faster than it currently is right now. Even though he's cranking out the website templates, we need to be getting some of those converted over to WordPress. We've had a lot of requests for that. And he has another design, a brand new website template design that he has in the very early stages of prototyping. It looks really, really good, very light and professional. I think it's going to be a really fantastic one. Hopefully we'll have that one before January 1st. And so yeah, that's what's been keeping him busy. So as I said, this week for me in the Code Lab, it's really all been about onboarding and getting people set up with Pegasus Accelerator. Of course, in this first quarter or so, we're offering onboarding for no charge if you want us to install it for your site, so that we can see that everything is just streamlined, or maybe there's a hiccup. And of course, we're certainly happy to get in there and get our fingers dirty and hands dirty in the code and figure out what's going on. But yeah, in any case, and you always have a chance to try out Pegasus for no risk, to try it out, see if it's really for you, if it's for your website, see if it can really boost up your PageSpeed score like I say it can. Not just saying things, it actually does do it. But we give you a 2-week free trial. You can try that out as well. So if you've got a WordPress site, give it a shot. You might really, really like it. Anyways, that's what's really been keeping us busy this week. Oh, and 2 other things I forgot. Two. First one is WordPress 4.9 just released the last little bit. That release, they put some really cool things in, but it's also caused some headache for our frameworks, and they've changed a few things around. If you're experiencing some issues with your widgets in our Aquila framework or Generation 11 WordPress themes, run an update. Go to the bottom of the menu for whatever theme that you're running and run an update. It should fix it. If you're running one of our older WordPress themes, the Orion series of WordPress themes, and you're noticing that the menus suddenly are not styled properly, run an update. Again, that's I think on the bottom of the left menu in WordPress, and that will resolve that as well. Thanks, WordPress. Gave me more stuff to do this week. And then the other thing was that earlier on this week, I did a post saying that we are now going to be taking our video interactives, our video vlogs, I guess you call it, and we're going to be turning them into podcast audio. And so we have done a channel out at SoundCloud. If you'll find that in our Facebook feed, you also find that on our homepage. And so, I tell you, I go for a morning walk almost every morning, clear my head before getting into support and development, and I listen to podcasts, and it's a great way to enrich my mind, give me new things to think about. And SoundCloud is one where I tend to listen, but there are other platforms out there as well. So if you are somebody that listens to podcasts and you'd like to listen to ours, I'd love to know which platform you listen on, and I'll see if I can maybe get ours set up in that platform. We'd like to get that information to you. Anyways, thanks so much for joining me. Hope you've had a fantastic week. Hope you have great plans for the week.